Hi, welcome to Midwest Magic Cleaning. My name is Frank Licknuckle, and today we're going to be cleaning, I think, the second most cluttered house that I've ever done. Jason isn't with me today. He was busy making life difficult for others. If he doesn't do that at least once a week, he's not happy. So I'm doing this one on my own. And there's a lot to go through here. This is not going to be the only day that we're working on this house. I'll be coming back every Saturday until this one is done. And it's so cluttered that I spent about 4 or 5 hours here and only got the kitchen done. There was a significant mouse problem, and it's not because of open food. Most of their food is actually sealed up pretty well. There's no evidence that mice have bitten through any of the packaging or anything like that on the little bit of food that is out. All the rest of their stuff is in cans and in cabinets and in the refrigerator. They live in the same type of area that I live in. So I drove 40 miles to get here. But in the area that I live in a very small town that is circled by even smaller towns. And each of the towns in my area are about 30 miles apart. Every town is surrounded by cornfields. She is so far out in the country that she's not even in a traditional town. It's like her house, then a mile away there's another house. So what happens is when the farmers harvest the corn, the thousands of mice that were in the fields then look for shelter. And as it gets colder, there's like 5 houses in a 5-mile area for them to choose from. They all come inside, and the next thing you know, your house is covered in mouse poop. Now, given it does not help matters that her house is this cluttered. So even though there's not a bunch of food out to feed the mice with, there's a bunch of hiding places because there's so much stuff in the house. So anyway, I didn't hear any evidence of mice in the walls or anything like that. I didn't hear them scattering or climbing around. But, I mean, the evidence of them having been there is everywhere. Today, I'm going to be working on getting the majority of the clutter and the mess cleaned up, but it's going to have way more refined cleaning done later. So at some point, I'm going to have to pull out all the drawers, open up all the cabinets, and get all the mouse poop out of there because it's everywhere. It's really not safe. And now, before you give me a bunch of crap, and I'm sure a bunch of you already have, no, I'm not wearing gloves, and no, I'm not wearing a mask, and that is not by choice. I didn't realize until I got here that I had used the last of my masks and my gloves on the last house that I cleaned, and I only had a certain amount of time to do this house today. So on my way out of town and on my way back home, I did stop at a Walmart, and I bought 400 pairs of gloves. I bought 2 boxes of regular surgical masks, and then I bought every single N95 mask that Walmart had on their shelves. I literally just grabbed them, like I hooked my arm, grabbed them, and just swept them off into the cart. So I shouldn't have to worry about that going forward. On the next video, I should be masked up and gloved up and that whole 9 yards. This one, I just gritted my teeth and just did it, and I washed my hands nonstop. I am a little concerned about all the mouse poop because hantavirus is a real thing, but there are people living in this house who are still alive, so I chanced it, which is dumb. If you ever decide you want to get into doing something like this and you decide that you're as crazy as me, please don't do this without gloves and a mask. Now, I'm going to have to clean all of the surfaces, and I do this in layers. I clean all the main junk off of the counter, crumbs, mouse poop, food, all that stuff. Then I refine each time I clean. So after I get all the crumbs and stuff up, I'll spray it down with Mr. Clean to get all the sticky stuff up. Then after that, I'll use a sanitizing spray that I make myself to sanitize all the surfaces. And I'm going to do this even with the things like their air fryer, their Keurig, their coffee makers, and every single little jar and spice jar, like everything in here is getting the sanitizing spray. The sanitizing spray is an APC. You'll hear me use that acronym a lot, or whatever they call it, those letter things a lot. That stands for all-purpose cleaner. And on this house, I've changed the way I'm doing it. Instead of diluting alcohol, I'm using 70% isopropyl alcohol, undiluted, meaning I don't add water to it, and then like 4 or 5 drops of Dawn dish soap. Because this house needed sanitized so bad, I needed to make sure that it's getting like actually sanitized and not just a quick spritz. I wanted to hit it. I needed to nuke the house. Nuke the house with cleaning. Nuke. So this is going to be the first part of a series since we have so many rooms to do and I couldn't get them all done in one day. In fact, I couldn't even get more than this one room done in this one day. Once I come back next week, I should be able to knock out multiple rooms. So I usually start in the kitchen because the kitchen, in my experience, is always the hardest room to do. It takes the most time at least because there's so many more surfaces in a kitchen. And there's so many tiny knick-knacky type things to clean around and to clean themselves, more so than pretty much every other room. Also, since this is where you're preparing your food, you want to make sure that it's sanitized, so I take a little bit of extra care in kitchens to make sure that everything gets, sanitized the way it's supposed to be. Since that takes so much time, and it was the only room I could get done this week, next week I'll be doing rooms that take like literally half the time to do. So I should be able to get like a dining room. There's a big entrance way right off the kitchen. I may even be able to get the living room done. And then the following Saturday, I should be able to get into things like the bathroom and the bedrooms. I'd like to get the living room, dining room, and bathroom done. That would be really nice next week because their bathroom really needs it pretty bad. The microwave is being done with my APC. I just soaked it down, let it sit for a couple minutes, and then just wiped it out with a rag. There are other ways to do it. A lot of people have told me about the Ari Katarina method. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I watch her all the time, but I can't do her accent, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'll call her Fred. People have told me about Fred's method, where you can just put like a cup of water in there and then close the door and microwave it for a couple minutes, and then all the steam and stuff comes out and softens all the food. That works just fine, but this didn't need softened up. It just needed sanitized and wiped out. If you guys haven't checked them out yet, there's a couple channels I think you'd really like. Clean with Barbie's my favorite. We've talked about me possibly coming to New York and helping her on a clean and doing like a collaboration video. I do not like cities. I do not like to travel, but my wife goes to New York at least once a year, and she hasn't been in a while. And so this may be the one opportunity where I finally say, screw it, I'll go and then do a collaboration video. But she's one of my favorites. Get It Done with Gabby is awesome. Living with Cambria is great. Mom Likely is another one of my favorites. And then if you just want, people with weird hobbies, like I've got Post 10 is awesome. He's a guy who unclogs culverts and just is in general kind of a whacked out dude who just, I don't know what it is about him, but my wife and I have been watching him for years and we can't get enough of him. I'm also into like those lawn mowing videos too. So I watch like Outdoors with Eric, Lawn Care Juggernaut, Phil's Lawn Care. Who's some of the other ones? Al Blades is really good. Anyway, I'm just going to clean off each of these little spice things and put them back because they are all covered in just a thin layer of grease. And when that combines with dust, it gets pretty nasty. At some point when I go back, I want to take all that stuff out of the windowsill and clean the windows and the sill itself. I mean, there's so much more I need to do in here that I didn't have time for today. But even what I got accomplished in the 4 or 5 hours I was here is pretty significant. But, if you're a fan of cleaning videos, you'll see tons and tons of stuff that I didn't get to that I do want to get to. They had a problem with the sink, and it had a leak, a pretty bad leak, and it was leaking for so long that it caused 2 holes in the floor. One is right underneath that trash can that you can see to the top left of the screen, and then there's one that's closer to the camera, and they've got things over those holes so that people don't accidentally step into them, but they're about softball size. They're pretty good size holes. It's not just a leak in the plumbing, which I think they fixed that part of it, but the sink itself is so old that it's worn through in a couple places and it's cracked in other places. So it's like a fiberglass and plastic coated sink, and I don't know whether it's just defective or it's just old or what, but you can actually see the fiberglass mesh underneath it. So I'm really careful here to not use water as much as possible. I'm going to clean that sink in a little bit, but I use water very, very sparingly whenever I do because I don't want to cause more trouble. Now here's one of the areas that I'm going to do quickly. And normally I would spend a ton of time on this, but it would be the stove and the surrounding area. So the surrounding area I want to wipe down and clean like normal. But usually in my videos I do a really good job with stoves because they just look super cool on camera when you do them right. And the stove should be one of those areas that's always crazy clean. This one, I needed to put oven cleaner on it, and I didn't have time to do the oven cleaner thing. So I'm going to soak this down with Mr. Clean, soften up the burnt on food around the burners as best I can, and use a razor scraper to just get off the majority of that Then the next time I come over here, I will use oven cleaner, spray that down and let it set the entire time I'm cleaning and get all of that off. I also need to pull up this hood, which is the top of the stove, and I need to get my shop vac out and suck up all the burnt crumbs that are beneath this. But all I'm worried about today is just getting a basic clean done on it. And that burn on food around those burners is so embedded on there that it definitely is going to need oven cleaner to get off. Like the razor scraper couldn't even make a decent enough dent in it. And same thing with the front. I'm just going to wipe that down with Mr. Clean, get all the crud off, and then move on. But we'll give that a more refined clean whenever we come back. I thought about slapping the dirt off, which I normally do. But the last time I did that, I disintegrated the stove, and I didn't want to turn her stove into dust, so I just used Mr. Clean instead. This is absolute chaos on this island. In order to not get overwhelmed here, even as long as I've done this and as well as I know organization, I still had trouble with this because it's hard to not get overwhelmed. So instead of looking at this island and thinking I've got to clean this island, all I'm doing is I'm picturing in my head a little rectangle that encompasses the left side of the sink and maybe a little bit of the sink itself, and thinking I'm cleaning this rectangle. I'm cleaning this little 2 foot by 1 foot square, and that's it. And then once that's clean, then I can move on to the next rectangle and just do this in sections. You look at that island by itself and you can look at it and just be like, where in the hell do I even begin on something like this? I said hell. Sounds pretty cool. And here I'll do the layer thing again where I just wipe it down with a paper towel to get all the crumbs and stuff off. Then I'll Mr. Clean it to get the sticky stuff off. Then I'll do like one final polished refined clean with my APC. I'm going to also clean up their ice maker and toaster the same way I did all the rest of the Keurig and stuff like that. Just wipe it down with Mr. Clean, get all the crud off. Toasters usually have a little tray on the bottom where you can get the crumbs out. You just pull open the tray, dump the crumbs, and put the tray back in. This one's old enough to where that tray is screwed in there, and I didn't have a screwdriver, or I had one, but I don't know where it's at in my mystery van. So I just turned it upside down and dumped all the crumbs onto the floor, knowing that I'd have to sweep later anyway, because that's how I roll, son. Call me Crumb Dump Johnny back in Cincinnati. Well, Cincinnati Crumb Dump is what they called me. Now, we will never get all the stains out of the sink. Like I said, it is absolutely demolished. It has to be replaced. But I can at least get the surface grime off of it, because even though we can't get the stains out, we can make it clean. It'll just be clean with some stains. So I'm going to use Barkeeper's Friend and a scouring pad. Some people might look at that and say, why bother? Well, it's even though we can't get it 100% looking like new, we can at least make it, somewhat sanitized and at least get the dirt off of it. So don't be mouthing me, son. I do what I want. Then after I'm done, I just wipe it down with the rag to get all the Barkeeper's Friend residue off. Then I'll use a ultra-fine microfiber towel to clean up the faucets. Now the biggest part of the clutter, which is the top of the island. And all you can do here is just start taking things off one at a time. Even if you don't have a place to put them, just find like a section of floor or something to put them off of the island. That way you can clean the surface of the island, and then you can start finding things that you can use to decorate it with. So worry about where things go second. Worry about just getting things off and moving first. So there's a lot of this stuff that I'm just straight up putting on the floor. And then I grabbed a couple boxes to box up anything that looked like it was either junk or was not used in a while. It looks like she makes candles. She had a bunch of stuff for candle making there, so I tried to keep it all in one box too. So as I'm putting things in boxes, I'm trying to put stuff that seems like it belongs together in the same box. That way when she starts looking at this stuff, she can at least get a general idea of what's in there. Like I used one box just for Jason's pride because he lost that a long time ago. It was here on this island the whole time. Jerk. Prideless jerk is what he is. Just realized there's a ton of people watching this video who have no idea who Jason is because they've never seen my videos before, and I don't even care. Like you will know who he is. You will. You've been warned, son. Warned you right in your face. Now I'm going to go back over this with APC, wipe it down, and then use an ultrafine microfiber to polish. So the APC has an added benefit to sanitizing. It also happens to shine up shiny surfaces really well. I wouldn't use it on wood. I wouldn't use it on painted surfaces, but on everything from marble and granite, stoneware type stuff, to linoleum and vinyl. It's really, really good at bringing shine back. So I know this is going to be a question a lot of you have, but most of that stuff, like where did I put it? Some went in boxes. Others, I just looked around the cabinets and found where she kept similar items and then put those items with those. I found places where she keeps, toilet paper and paper towels and stuff like that and just put those items with it. Otherwise, it's pretty much a guessing game. I just pretend like I live there and where would I put those things, and then I put them there. So like I said, we hit 100,000 subscribers. We're now on the second race, which is to 1 million, which is never going to happen in 1 billion years. But I can dream. So if you haven't subscribed yet, that would be pretty cool if you did. And if not, you can suck it. You can be a devil worshiper all you want. Not my life. It's yours. And if you just can't get enough of my dumb, stupid, I do post an extra video each Wednesday, and that's in my members only section. Don't feel obligated to go in there. But if you want a little bit of extra, I've got a little join button that you can find somewhere on the channel. I guess for iOS users, the join button isn't there if you use the app, but it is there if you go through the browser. I don't know, it's a YouTube thing. I didn't build YouTube, I'm just on it. But thanks for watching. I will see you all next weekend where we'll do some more of this house. And for the members, I'll see you all on Wednesday. So suck it.